Well, hello and welcome to the Puppet Playhouse Podcast, otherwise known as the PPP, or simply for short. I'm William Freeman, and welcome to this week's episode, where today we're going to discuss a wide variety of topics. Well, maybe not a wide variety, but, well, you know how it goes. Anyway, so last week was the championship game for college football, the BCS, I believe they call it. And Alabama was in the championship with Georgia. Well, let me tell you, around here in Northwest Alabama, if you want to accomplish anything, that was your time to do it Monday night. I mean, the streets were bare. Everything was quiet. I'm telling you, you could get a reservation, you could go see a movie, anything, and you would probably be alone because everyone who's anyone is watching the game. I think people who have no desire to watch football watch that game because that's just what you do, you know? It's like, what'd you do Monday night? Oh, I watched the game. But do you ever watch football? No. But you watched it Monday night because it's Alabama. Now, the one thing that I've always wondered is, why are college football fans so fanatic? I'll take my father as a perfect example. When he was alive, he loved Alabama football. It was his favorite team in the whole universe. But you see, he didn't go to Alabama. My brother and I didn't go to Alabama. Didn't really have any family that went to Alabama. He had zero connection to that school other than that it was in Alabama. But he fell in love some way, somehow, with Paul Bear Bryant, one of the most popular, if not the most popular college coach ever, you know. But other than that, I don't understand it, you know. He loved Alabama, and he would get angry at the TV. You know the type. They get a bad call or something like that. He's like, or they play bad. You know, and they're like really playing below their potential. He'll get mad, and then he'll turn the TV off. You know, I'm sure you know the type. Maybe you are the type. Or maybe you live with the type, have a friend who's the type. You get what I'm saying? But why? How does their playing, good, bad, or indifferent, affect your life? I mean, I have seen fans in the stands, whether it's not just, you know, college ball. It's pro ball, too. I've seen, you know, you watch your NFL games on TV, and you'll see when a team is losing really bad, you'll see the person in the stands, and it looks like someone shot their mother. And you're just like, really? I mean, I understand maybe you're a betting man, and you're going to do some gambling on the game or something. You know, illegal or not, you're like, hey, I got $50 right now. I got $200, whatever money you put in. And, of course, if they're bad, you're thinking, I'm losing money. But no, these are fans who are just like, I like the team. Maybe it's my team in my hometown, my home state, whatever. And when they do bad, you think they shot their mother. And that's what my dad got. He got so angry and upset. He would turn off the TV and he would storm off, and then he would go do something else. And he would kind of casually walk in. Well, did they do any better? You know, or he might turn it back on, but more than likely, probably not. I mean, well, football season is officially over, I suppose. Now that we have that out of the way, that's okay, you know, and we've got till August, and then it's going to start all over again. So all of you who don't follow football and have no desire to follow football, well, and you have to put up with these fans in your circle of friends or your family, take the long break. But, you know, does it happen with other sports too? Oh, you know. I mean, some of you international folks, and maybe even some local here in the States, you probably do the same thing with football/soccer, and you probably do it with baseball. I mean, you name the sport, there's a diehard fan somewhere. You know, but it's kind of hard to see the diehard fan in some sports. I mean, can you see that diehard fan like at a chess tournament? No, don't do your pawn that way. No, move your knight there. Don't take that square. Yeah, really? I mean, come on. I mean, you know, there was an SNL sketch in the 90s where they had, it was Sherry O'Terry, and she was there as one of the cheerleaders along with Will Ferrell. And they were doing a cheer routine like you would do at a basketball game or a football game, whatever. But they were doing it at a chess tournament. And that was so funny. But think about it. What about curling? Most of us didn't know curling was a thing until one of the Olympics. And then we turn it on and we're like, okay, they got this big rock looking thing with a handle and they're kind of shoving it down the ice. And then there's two guys with what looks like broomsticks, or maybe, if it's not a broomstick, it might kind of look like some kind of sponge on a stick. And they're like scrubbing the ice like they're trying to clean it. And then, if you don't know the rules of curling, you're just kind of like, okay, what are they doing? Now, curling fans and curling players are going to be like, hey, I get it. I'm not knocking your sport. It's just that, come on. What about that fan sitting up there and and it's kind of like bowling. At least on the Olympics, the arenas were quiet. And sometimes the announcer's like, and there he goes. He's about to, and then, what happens? But can you see the guy in the stands? No, you missed it. No, sweep faster. Right? Yeah, right. And that brings up bowling. What about bowling? Come on. I love how in or even golf. Well, in both aspects, bowling and golf, the announcers are always so quiet, like, he's coming up. He's getting ready to swing. And he swings. And it's a strike. Or whatever they say. And then like in golf, he's pulling out his 3-wood. That's about 200 yards to the pin. Or whatever. You know what they say. But they're always... And I know why they're real quiet, because they're live. And, they want people to not distract the golfer or the bowler in this case or whatever. But what if you had that fan? That diehard fan who made like tons of noise. Just like my dad would do when the team did bad or was a bad call. What if the guy's playing golf and he gets it in the sand trap? And it's like, he hits, poo, and it hits the sand trap, and there's the fan. What are you doing? You shouldn't have used that. You used too much club. Why did you have to fade? You can just hear it now. And then everyone's like, what is going? And then, he's eventually escorted off. Now, here's a question for you sports enthusiasts out there that I just thought of. Why, in a game like football, is it encouraged that as a fan that you yell, that you scream, that you stomp your feet, clap your hands, that you make as much noise as possible, that you let loose when your team is not doing good or the other team's doing better, just like that, just like what we've talked about with our friends, family, or my father, getting all upset and berate and yelling at the TV. Well, see, that's encouraged at the stadium level. People, you can hear on TV, and a lot of us have been to actual games in the stands, and we can't hear ourselves think because that's how loud it is. But yet, in a golf or bowling or something like that, tennis, it's like you got to be library quiet, can hear a pin drop. Now, if it's not distracting to the quarterback and the other football players, why is it so distracting to a golfer or to a tennis pro? Come on. What's the diff? That's some interesting, some things to think about. As the old Arsenio Hall used to say, things that make you go, And that's one of them for me. I just thought of it, but it is. I'm going to ponder on that for the week. You go to a tennis match. And whenever somebody makes whatever shot they make, good, bad, or indifferent, the crowd claps, cheers, and you hear all the, whoo, yeah! But then the minute they get ready to serve, it's like, shh, the whole crowd goes silent. Well, how do you think that would look like in a football game? Okay, like there's all this, yeah, as they're picking, both sides are picking their place, defense, offense. Then everybody comes to the line. And then once everybody lines up, what if the referees called for dead silence in the stands? And it was completely like dead quiet. Really? Can you picture it? I can. It's like, yahoo, go team, yeah, go, come on, go get a touchdown, get a first down, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden, and then Maybe is it the size of, like, in a perfect world, if we could get 50,000 crazed fans in this stadium to be quiet, we would. But, when you're dealing like with a tennis match, you don't have, significantly less. And maybe in a golf match, you've got, I don't know, a few hundred people. I don't know how many. I haven't done the math, but maybe that's why, because there's so few at those particular events. I don't know. That's just funny to me that at a football event, American football event, the same way for international football, which we call soccer here in the States. I mean, they go the next step. I mean, we, our fans for the sporting events that allow it, we hoot, we holler, we cheer, and we make a lot of noise. But the fans of the world of international football, as I say, we call that soccer. Well, they're singing and chanting, and it sounds great. But we don't do that. I mean, I'm wondering why that hasn't taken off. Like, we're at our favorite team, we're sitting up there at Mile High Stadium with the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago Bears. And then, we're there in Denver, like, this is great. And what if we break out into some kind of song? What song would it be? I don't know. But we don't do that. We make a lot of noise, but we don't sing. But it's just interesting how so many sports allow that. Then the others, you have to be quiet as a mouse. And you don't say anything, And it's like, I mean, really, is it? And if someone talks, or a bunch of people do, how distracting is that really going to be? That makes me think that if you're a golfer, what if you played on a course that was situated in some downtown area of a city where there was never any quiet, where it was always really loud? So that way, if you ever encountered that crazed fan who's like, yeah, get that par four. Well, if that happened, it wouldn't matter because you're used to the loud noise. But no, the minute someone says anything, they hold up that sign that says quiet. And everyone is like, you can't even breathe, let alone you try to sneeze even. It's like, no. But that's, it's interesting to me how sports have done that very thing, right? And I guess at home, like my dad, I don't know that would he do that in public, do you think? I don't know. But at home, it's like, oh, it's my family. I can act a total fool around them. It's okay. And he did, yelling at the TV. Now he wouldn't do that. He was a big NASCAR fan too, but he wouldn't do that with NASCAR. He would sit there and watch and enjoy, but he never would yell at the team. His favorite NASCAR was, what was his nickname? Smoke, I think. And that was kind of the guy that he's like, yeah. Now, he wouldn't do too much like, yeah, go, no, or whatever with NASCAR. He would just watch and enjoy the game. But for football, and he wasn't a basketball fan. And that's another thing. We watch in basketball. People just kind of sit there in the basketball arena. I mean, they're not like totally quiet, but you don't hear near the level in a basketball game, at least the ones I've seen on TV, that you do at a football. Now, granted, I know there's less people in that arena, and it's indoors versus a lot of them are outdoors and all that, but still, it's just interesting to me how certain sports, we have a louder volume, or certain sports, we get more upset. And I've seen the clips of like the crazed fan when something amazing happens and he gets up, he's like maybe on the front row there, courtside, and he can do the dance. And you're like, yeah, the victory dance where they scored a point or did something super cool that his favorite player or team did, so he's going to do the dance and all that. I've seen that. But I have, and I've seen some fans really get upset too, just like my dad would at the TV. Now, the funny thing is when it's a celebrity who is, well documented that he is a fan of this particular team, so that, ratings boost for your network. Not only are you carrying the game, but if you can spot that celebrity and spot him getting all hot and bothered over whatever call, point, however, team playing, whatever it is they're getting upset. You can get it. And I've seen lots of celebrities over the years, and they get on camera in not so flattering situations but then you think, well, but they're a fan. And maybe you, like we've said before, like my father's a fan of college football, Alabama, and he'll get very upset and irate and yell and do all that stuff. And, well, a celebrity's a human too. They're a person, just like I'm a person. They just happen to get paid to be in the public eye. And we sometimes, many times, we hold them on a pedestal because they're always in the public eye. And we expect, they're in the public eye. And we expect them to be different. Now, some celebrities are, I would say. They recognize. And others are kind of like, I don't care. I'm me. I'm going to be me. Just because I have a job that puts me in the public eye doesn't mean I have to act or behave differently than I would if I was a normal person working a Joe job. But, we're not here to talk about celebrities. We're talking about sports. Because we started off talking about college football. And now we're talking about the sports in general. Because, the way that crazed fans act and then we moved on into the sound and how some sports, they definitely downplay it. Think of all the sports and what you watch, like Olympic sports for sure. When that sport starts, you can hear a pin drop, and one of my favorite is to watch the Olympics anytime they're on. And I love gymnastics and I love figure skating, and watching those, each one, now you can hear the crowd, clapping during the floor routine of the gymnast. But when they're doing balance beam or they're doing vault or they're doing the parallel bars or whatever, the uneven bars, dead silence, pommel horse. You can hear because you might distract them, but yet athletes doing football, they don't get distracted. Or maybe they do. Maybe that's why they play bad, because it's so loud. I don't know. Just interesting how that worked, right? And that's kind of interesting to me. And you'll see with professional sports teams, NFL, for example, or even especially in college, like thinking back to last week's BCS championship game, watching Alabama and Georgia play, I remember, especially seeing on the Georgia side, those Georgia, and I'm assuming they were students at Georgia, right? And they were shirtless and had their whole chest painted, and they had the face makeup, and they had the hats and everything. And they went all out, just like in typical college fashion, where they're supporting their team, which is great. But how come you don't see that in other sports? This goes along with our loud and how the crowd has to be quiet. I don't see that rabid fan at that college. I don't see that rabid college fan type or that NFL fan type. And you might even get it some with baseball, though maybe not as much. But I don't see that rabid fan type at a golf game. You take like your favorite golfer, maybe it's Tiger Woods, or somebody like that. And I don't see that rabid fan who's all decked, who's got like face paint and makeup, and he's got a Tiger Woods shirt or whatever, and he's just like, yeah, Tiger, go, man. Or what, do you, and maybe you've seen one, and I don't follow golf. I watch golf only if there's nothing else on to watch, right? And I do play golf in the video game world, but but have you seen anything like it? Really? And what about like bowling or Olympic sports? You name the sport, and do you see that type of rabid fan? I haven't. So, and it's curious as to, is it because American football is so physical? Is that what it is? That's why you see these fans that are just like, well, and they tailgate. That's the big thing about games, and especially big games or rivalry games. You'll see tailgating. And if you don't know what tailgating is, that's where rabid fans, they sort of camp out in front of the arena, wherever the game is, and they'll set up tents and booths and things, and they're grilling and cooking and having beers and just, celebrating the game, the atmosphere, just the fact that we're here and we're live and we're gonna have this massive game once we're done tailgating, celebrating being a fan. Celebrating the team, the rivalry, whatever it is, that they just celebrate it. But I don't see tailgating in those sports. I mean, what if you pulled up to, another sport and, something crazy, let's say what if there's a bowling tournament and it's like for and let's say it's a mega event. Maybe it's for the PBA championship. That's like the big thing in professional bowling or whatever. And you pull up, you're never been to a bowling as far as just watching on TV, or maybe you've bowled at your local bowling alley, and then you see all these tents and there's all this food and beer and drinks, and there's, hot wings, and you name the food, and it's typically, items they can grill out on a grill, but there they are, and they've got t-shirts and banners and flags, and everyone's got lounge chairs, easy chairs, and coolers, and they're wearing hats and face paints and the t-shirts and jerseys, the whole 9 yards, but it's all bowling. You'd probably think, have I entered the Twilight Zone here? But it's okay, and as far as a football game, like a NFL or definitely a college, because my local college here where I live, they do that, and they're not, they're not in any danger of coming close to a championship, at least not recently. Not knocking them. But they're not. They're trying to improve, I guess. But they still tailgate. They still hang out before games and have a great time, have a party. But you don't see that in many other sports, And we've used golf. What about the golf game? You go there and you see everybody tailgate, and they're like, "What are you doing?" "Yeah, we're partying before they hit the front nine." Come on. It would be very interesting. Definitely interesting and unique to see that happen, right? And when we're talking about tailgating and, they're serving and they're drinking, beer and wine cooler, stuff like that. But and here again, I'm going to admit to my ignorance because I don't typically attend live sporting events. But, have you ever seen a live, and this would be one that they would show on TV, and we're picking on golf, not that golf, like I said, I only watch golf when it's the only thing on, but I do not hate golf. I'm not deliberately shading golf, so don't come away from this podcast thinking that. It's just easy to pick on because it's so opposite, say, American football with the NFL and college football. But, have you ever seen, do they sell drinks at a golf game? And if they did, I can imagine that crazed, drunk football fan, college, professional, whatever. Well, what about a crazed golf fan who was drunk? Can you just see that? Oh, he's got a bad lie with that shot. Kind of like the lie I told my wife. I told her I was going to the office, and here I am at this golf game. Or, a lot of times the golfers, at least I don't know if they still do this, they used to yell "4," when they would before a shot. And what if even if they don't, you got that drunk golfer who, the minute that their favorite guy swings, 12. Wait a minute. That's the number you yell or you shoot. Or is it 2? 3? Maybe it's 4. Well, why do they make you say 4? I ain't shooting 4 times. I ain't even shooting. I'm swinging the club. Like, I ain't swinging, he's swinging. Of course, the way this whole thing's spinning around in front of my eyes, I feel like I've been swinging. And I have seen some crazed fans in sports, well, like baseball, for example. I watched a clip of a crazed fan who jumped down from the stands and ran. He was wearing a costume. He was wearing a full body costume, so you couldn't see his face or his body, like a full body suit. But he jumped down and he ran all around the baseball field. And it was two pro teams playing. I don't remember the team, but in the clip, he was running around and they had security, stadium security was trying to catch him. And he ran around for, I don't know, a minute or two, just able to dodge everyone trying to get him. And it was one of the outfield players for one of the teams. He ended up like sticking his leg out and tripping him up, you know. And I mean, obviously a drunk player. And then in that clip, they said that particular person, that told the person's name, and that he ultimately got banned from that stadium for life. But all that to say, I don't remember ever hearing that level of crazy at other sporting events that are not, say, the big ones like baseball or football or something like that. You know, I mean, here again, can you see someone at a tennis match and they just jump down say at Wimbledon, they just jump down right there and get on the grass in the middle of the match. And they're just running around and they're like, yeah, hello, I'm on TV and I'm at Wimbledon. Yeah. Hey, Mom, hey. And maybe they don't even have a costume. They're just, running around and they look at the camera. Hey, Mom, I'm on TV. I'm at Wimbledon. And yeah, they probably are lucky to even be able to swing a racket. And at this point, you wonder, okay, do they even know what tennis is and how do they get in and all of that, But I guess because dressing up in crazy costumes and makeup and stuff is that's normal for pro teams like football or even college, as we've talked about. Maybe that's why they didn't think so much when that dude shows up in a full bodysuit and sits down in the crowd. They don't expect him to jump down into the field, but that's what happened, right? I mean, some very, very crazy antics go on in sports. And it's just unusual, at least to me, how that is very accepted in certain sports, but not accepted in others. Well, we've gone on much longer than we probably should have, so we're going to call this topic one and done. I hope that you have enjoyed my talk and discussion about sports and some of the crazy antics that goes on within the setting as we start off with college football and kind of morphed into other areas. And if you have any comments or suggestions for this podcast, you can reach out to me at MRPUPPT. That's Mr. Puppet with no E. MRPUPPT@gmail.com. And tell me what you like about the podcast and any suggestions for future topics that you would like me to cover. And hey, we'll see about doing that very thing. And I want to also, as I do in every podcast, thank Daybreak Digital Studios. They are the audio editors for this podcast. And they do an amazing, amazing job at making me sound much better than I probably sound in real life. So for any of your audio editing needs, you go to Daybreak Digital Studios. And if they don't have the ability to do it, they know the people who can do it because they have years and years of professional audio experience. And last but by no means least, Steve Trash Science. This is a science and magic show for kids that stars Steve Trash, an internationally known magician who travels the world doing magic shows based on science, conservation, and ecology. And there is a TV show that you right now can watch on PBS TV. That is the local public broadcasting television stations in the United States. And you can find it on pbs.org. All you have to do is get on your favorite device and Google Steve Trash Science. One of the first links you'll get is to pbs.org, the main website, and you can watch all 10 episodes of season 1. Why does that matter? Because I am the professional puppeteer for that show. And we are really getting set to get season 2 underway, but the wheels don't turn without money to burn. So what we need you to do is to watch the show. Tell your friends, tell your family. And if you like it, let PBS know how much you enjoy the show. Let your friends and family know. And if you want to be a sponsor, because it's tax deductible, you can send PBS, the Steve Trash Show on PBS, rather, some money, and hey, write it off your taxes. And you'll be helping people teach kids and adults some wonderful science facts with magic, puppets, learning, music, fun, even life lessons thrown in. Well, I'm William Freeman, and I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. And as I always say, never goodbye, always good journey.